demonic angel. My last video for tonight, I'm going to try to make it quick. It could end up being 20 minutes. But we'll see. So I have said that I would never profile another missing person on my channel. I did so, and actually, so this was just at random, and then I did get some positive, like, basically contact feedback, but I also, feel like it's something that is so personal and intimate that I don't want to just put that directly out there and say this specific missing person or dead person that I'm going to talk about, is this. Here they are. You can look them up on Facebook and Google, and here's their story. That kind of, I'm not gonna get that personal kind of way. As you can imagine, it's bound to step on some people's toes, which would normally be fine, but I feel like it's all more about me being truly invited. It's my dog. Truly invited in by the particular missing person's family. Really, at least having probably a couple of meetings in some way. I have done that via Zoom and everything, but I just to really get to know them, and then and only then will I profile a case, but I will not mention names. I'm not literally just will make up a name at the beginning of like the stories or titles, and that way you can kind of see what I'm doing. I want to put this out here as a psychic medium, and I really want to kind of showcase what it really is like to do psychic investigations, or at least the results. Eventually, I hope to get a paranormal group going, here, and you guys will, of course, be the first to know. But for right now, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about a case where a guy, a guy's cousin actually reached out to me, and he said, will you please cover this case of my cousin, and in this case his cousin is alive, but he went through a severe tragedy. I think it's like, something like 15 years ago. Yeah, so basically, I'm going to go ahead and title this one. I'm simply going to call this one Brothers. And yeah, that is the short little synopsis, if you will, there. So yeah, I basically, this guy sent me an object of his cousin's. So he says his cousin doesn't know, but that he would approve, and he said especially in light of the things I had to say. That's about it. I really just did this for basically to help people, and that's about it. So this one, the reason it's called Brothers, of course, as you can imagine, sounds like people related, but it's not. This is where one man lives and the other man dies. And they're brothers now. I was feeling I got sent a comb, which I felt right away that hadn't been, something that was used by the person very often or very recently, like they had maybe shaved their head or had much shorter hair. I don't really know why I thought that, but that was what I got right away. And this guy, I was like, well, he's older now, so, just the object hasn't been used in a while, and I see the guy in his 50s. And he's kind of just living in like a terrible apartment by himself, alone. I think drugs, like Like he just sells drugs, he just sits there and drinks beer, and you know, he's like high all the time on whatever really, I think. Just really kind of numbing himself. And that was, you know, that was the next kind of, once I really got a feel for his age, kind of I was able to feel like that was a huge part of his life, just getting, you know, fucked up. Just trying to avoid something. So when I really, you know, thought more about that, then I kind of got that feeling that he had recently been on like a spiritual search to overcome this. But he had tried before, like addiction, but now he really had gotten a grasp on it, like a really deep hold. And one of the other things that I was able to then see, so the first time I saw the other guy, you know, like a very gray, dead looking guy, but he either looked to me kind of rotted, like his eyes were black and almost like he had been in water, but like he had large chunks of flesh scraped away, or not really quite holes. So, but then I also was able to see what he looked like, just alive. Very 90s. That hit me right away. Loved it. I think he had like a fanny pack, which made me really, you know, there's a lot of humor out there for me in this anyway. You know, so basically, that's what I was starting to pick up on this guy who was attached to the living guy who we're talking about. He had basically given him dreams, and then he did some stuff like knock over the garbage can. The guy would see the shadows real quick moving out of the corner of his eye, and like he would just really feel like he was being watched, but more specifically like he would be watched for a period of a couple minutes, like he was being followed, and then this would just kind of dissipate. So boom, like somebody's walking behind you for a couple minutes if you were walking straight down a sidewalk, but somebody kind of caught up behind you, and they're not like in your personal space yet, but they're like, you know, they're approaching. That's what that felt like. And it was like it creeped him out, and he thought he was being tortured, and he's like, I deserve this. I wasn't able to, at that time I didn't understand why he thought he deserved it. I was like, what the fuck? You know, it's just, this whole thing's really fucked up. And then I kind of realized that the dead guy was really sad. The part of his, I think part of his like scariness is just how heavy his energy really is, tangible as well. Like just, there is no mistaking this guy, especially when he would watch him. Like all the other stuff is like, oh, I'm fucking drunk to my mind. But this is very, very real for this guy. So, when, you know, how do they meet? That's kind of like what I'm asking in my mind here, and I'm thinking, well, the guy looks like if he's all wet. My mind does put that together. He's all wet. He probably drowned, and he probably got banged up from the rocks and a little bit, you know, like the skin sloughing off a little bit. Kind of a look from that, so I'm gonna go ahead and say he drowned. So then this guy drowned, and now we have this guy who, he liked to wear basketball shorts, kind of casual tank top stuff. I think he had like a large family, but he just would come and go out of their lives. And I was thinking that he was Hispanic. It just, when I would see little glimpses of the living man, you know, you could see his mocha colored skin, but there was just something about like his style in general too, even though I really didn't get a very good look at the living guy's face. I kind of see him from that angle we talk about. But, you know, so that happens, and then I get this feeling like, wow, you know, like the poster behind me. We're out camping, and we're talking to they're talking to each other, and it's like, but like really deep shit. Like if you were like, you know, sitting around a campfire smoking pot though, with like your best friend, or like somebody who just you really wanted to pick their brain, and you're just like, yeah, you know, about this, this, and this. And I think there was an aspect too of prejudgment. Like they come from such different worlds or backgrounds. They're so different, these two guys, the living and the dead guy. But the dead guy is trying to protect the living guy. He's really getting mad at him for beating himself up about this. Because he, you know, so he didn't understand his intentions at that time, but he eventually does. So, you know, it's like they're just chatting about the really random deep stuff, but it's also like, you know, in my point of view, and then this guy's like, wow, I really never thought about it. I learned so much from that. And just this guy, like the living guy, he had like a really deep, unexpected connection with this man that I'm not exactly sure how they know each other, because what I was ultimately thinking, although I was told I got this part wrong and everything else right, at least exactly the detail, and I actually don't know. Like the guy was just almost like, you're just another schmuck to me, somebody that I can make some money off of. Because I'm thinking in terms of his sort of selling drugs set of mind, like he's punishing himself by selling drugs because he's like, well, that's how I got by in life. You know, that's how I get by. Because I'm trash. I'm gonna keep treating myself like trash. So like that's what this guy, the living guy, does. But like he really opened up with this person, and I think there was more than one, more than one people, and that's why I'm gonna say that the detail I did get wrong was that I guess they were out on a boat. That's what I thought. I thought that it was like these two guys, some other people, and they're like out on a boat, but they could see land from where they are. They can actually see a lot of land. So I'm not, once again, I don't really know the true details. But, so I'm guessing that they go out in the wilderness. Maybe this guy wanted to rob these people. Like whatever, in my mind, they were like, they're on a boat, and the guy decides he's going to rob people. And he's like, well, fuck these rich people. I'm going to just rob them. But then he starts to like maybe talk to this guy. This guy just like, they make an instant soul brother connection. Really unexpected, but I mean, that's kind of how life works. And so he, I'm thinking they went hiking, camping. They go out to this place, and they travel to get there. And that whole time they're traveling, like we can imagine they're camping out, and that's the bonding part. What happens next? I don't think the guy murdered these people, the living man, because he almost died. Actually, I hope I'm wrong, but it's like I never even got a name, to be honest. I thought that I saw other bodies, but like all around this guy, the living guy, and it's like he's crawling. He can't stand. He's too weak. He barely lived. I think he had some breathing problems, which could have been associated with a near drowning. But I feel like he's the only one who lived. It was such a shivery moment on the astral plane for me. Well, connecting to the physical plane, like, he barely lived, and I just don't know how did he live and like nobody else lived. That's really what I feel though, so I'm gonna describe it that way. And of course, maybe a couple of people survived, and my mind is making it into sort of fractions in mental images, but I saw him as the only man surviving. And so I'm thinking, well, the boat went down, everybody drowned. There was this really intense last interaction between these two. So there's like this weird moment of just, for the living guy, and it's like nature speaks to him in a human voice in his head, and it's something like, hold now, and you know, and like another word, it's hard for me to really make out the last word, but something like live. And in my interpretation, this could be a nature spirit. It could be the guy's ancestors, just or of course his instinct manifesting as a voice. And he listens to this, and that's kind of how he lives. And it's just like, he thinks about that moment a lot when he thinks that he's a piece of shit. You know, he's like, you know, I'm a no good person. But then he remembers how for some reason nature chose to save him, and that's this really powerful moment. And then that happens right after they interact, and it's something really weird. Like, it's okay, so it's not like you're in danger, you go directly, okay? It's more like the younger guy, and I'm gonna say he's about 25. He turns to the other guy. They're about the same age at this time, and he, like, you know, whatever, just rough estimate, and he's like, well, something about some shit they were talking about with philosophy, that deep spiritual stoner talk, and he mentions it to him. It's just something that they really connected topically. You know, you talk to somebody about the occult, and then you find out like they're interested into it. Our example, and you just, like, you know, you really just, you're connected, so you want to talk. And then you have your inside jokes because you both like this stupid fucking show that everybody else hates. But that's your joke. That's your friendship thing. So, you know, that's what he says to him. And the guy at that moment has that right after that, nature speaks to him, and everybody else is gone. And it's like, I mean, it almost made me feel like a bomb went off, but a bomb didn't go off. That's not what happened. Because it's weird. It's really weird. There's land all around, so it looks like little brown islands to me. There's no trees, but it's like really weird because it looks sometimes deep to me, and sometimes it doesn't. Like they were walking nearby water. Maybe they were walking nearby water, like a shore, then they boarded a boat. And so that might be the scenery that I am imagining in that way. You know, so then that's what happened. So this guy just goes on to blame himself for this tragedy. He barely lives, and it's something like it's incredible. It's like surviving a lightning strike. It's just like the odds are, you know, against you. More rare than even that, because you have a decent chance of surviving a lightning strike. So that was the you know, but recently though, so every few, it's either years or months, but I'm thinking years, just because we're going from people who are like in their mid to late 20s to now. This living guy's like in his 50s, might be early 50s. So I think it's every few years. He goes to somehow, he's either looking for this dude, like he wants to, maybe he is trying to, but the guy, you know, it's like he's trying to talk to him, ask for forgiveness, or ask him to leave. He just wants this to be done. but it's like a proper send-off in some way. So I don't know if that means the guy was never found, or he's trying to release his spirit in some way, maybe due to a spiritual belief. Like, I kind of get the impression that this guy, the living guy, is very spiritual, but he clearly has good instincts because he's the only person who lived. So I think we could even say this guy has abilities, really. So of course he doesn't think that, he just attracts a lot of dead people, but I think this dead guy might have actually turned away some dead people from bothering him, just to do him a solid, let him rest. So that's this special relationship. But eventually, there's always like a sadness, an unsatisfied feeling that he comes away with when he journeys back. That's the only way I could put it. Like, it's like he goes and stays in a cheap motel, and he thinks and he drinks and he smokes and he's like, I gotta go out to this specific place. Like, if you were like, I'm gonna hike a mile into a canyon and then set up my fucking, altar at the specific, GPA coordinates for some spiritual reason. Like, that's what he does. And the guy, I think he finally heard him for what he was really trying to tell him. I love you. Move on. I think he really, my understanding is he got this really profound message that instead of ruining this guy's life, their talks just really gave this living guy, or the dead guy actually, such a closure. He just thinks it's so beautiful. Like, it was like we're two bros just talking about life, and it sounds goofy. It was so casual, but it really meant so much to him. Don't think about the loss, about the death as the loss. I can't believe we got to, and he says it was a big adventure, and I don't know, because he's like, adventure, adventure, adventure. Like, there's got to be some significance. That was part of their inside joke, and I don't quite understand that. So he says adventure, and he's like, doing like an elbow, like it's funny, significant to him. And that's their big thing. It's he finally hears that, I think, in his voice, in his mind, and he's really letting go. But I think that the dead guy is still with him because he left that open. Like, he didn't ask him to leave. He left that, like, you can go. But this guy just wants to be around his warmth, I think this guy has actually really cleaned up a lot, even though he's getting older. And I think there's a lot of beauty in him. Like, I think I kind of see him starting over, like it's some, terrible minimum wage job. But, like, it's like that's the right path, man. You're really, you're gonna walk the hard path. I matter. I'm gonna do the right thing. Okay. I'm gonna, like, actually live my life instead of avoid it. And that's kind of that energy this guy is all about now. So don't think that he has any more disturbing dreams or gets chastised by his friend. But that was really, it was like he meant everything to him. And the guy, it's like, even though he knows that the guy was like, I don't know what he wasn't like a con man. He wasn't. Maybe he was like, I know you were gonna rob us, or you were gonna rob me, but you didn't get to do it. You changed your mind, and it's okay, man. I still love you. Like, that's really what that's all about. That guy, and he's like, I need you to know that I forgive you, that I love you, and that the things that the inside jokes, the things they said to each other, it meant so much to both of them. And so that's the living guy in his 50s, very good instincts, amazing. That was a big part of what happened. And the deceased guy, he and these other people, they did, I believe they passed away drowning somehow. Now, I guess I got the boat part wrong, but, like, that that happens. But I'm going to definitely say this was some kind of outdoor hiking, water-related accident, which is really weird because I've seen a group of people die, which you'd think like from hiking. So, but you know, there's all kinds of natural disasters I could be missing, like earthquakes, floods, just something like that that's really in some way impacts these people who are near water. And that's about it. So I basically relayed this information to the family, and I got, you know, a lot of positive feedback. I basically just said, you know, relay this message, and that the guy could contact me if he wants. And I haven't heard from him, but I probably only did this reading for some people maybe like a week ago. You know, and then like basically detailed it out in the email. I really do like to help people and just try doing that way. In this way, you know, you're looking at psychic medium case file, brothers. And I'm not giving out names. I'm not getting personal in that way. So that way, I don't know, you could see what it's like to see a psychic medium really just you know, I channel all this through, sometimes it's through objects, or sometimes I can even just pick up on, you know, when people describe a couple of sentences about somebody. It really depends. But that's kind of how being a psychic medium works for me. I feel the pain, the emotions, and I also see, I think a lot of it has to do with my mind making those pictures and interpreting things in that way, which is really what we all do. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. I am updating my Patreon page. I have my first tier going, and I'll do the second one. Next time I film, I'm going to do the tarot pick a card, so if you like that, that'll probably be a little bit of a longer video just because I go through a spread, and you know, you have 3 objects to pick from. So yeah, I had a lot of fun chatting with y'all tonight. I will talk to you guys later, and my email's in the description below.